Hello Internet, and welcome back to my reviews of the Ghostbusters films leading up to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And now, we made it to a film that I've been dreading reviewing for a while, but I have no choice. Today, we're taking a look at 2016's Ghostbusters. Released on July 15, 2016, and directed by Paul Feig, famed director of Bridesmaids and Unaccompanied Minors, it is a reboot of the Ghostbusters series of films. And it focuses on four women who start a ghost-catching business in New York City after a paranormal encounter. We have Abby Yates, played by Melissa McCarthy, who most famously portrayed Ursula in 2023's The Little Mermaid. Abby Yates is the Ray Stantz of this movie. Then we have Erin Gilbert, played by Kristen Wiig, best known for playing Agent Lucy Wilde in the Despicable Me movies, a talking hot dog bun in Sausage Party, and the cheetah in Wonder Woman 1984. Erin Gilbert is the Peter Venkman of this movie. Jillian Holtzman, played by Kate McKinnon, known for appearances on SNL and for playing Weird Barbie in the 2023 smash hit Barbie. Jillian Holtzman is the Egon of the movie. And lastly, we have Patty Tolan, played by Leslie Jones. I bet you can guess which Ghostbuster she took inspiration from. Also starring in this movie is Chris Hemsworth as the Ghostbusters receptionist Kevin Beckman. This guy is a dumbass. It's like Knuckles from Sonic Boom had a gem fusion with Thor, particularly Thor Love and Thunder. Not so much the other times Chris Hemsworth played Thor. No, but in Thor Love and Thunder, he was a dumbass. This movie also had cameo appearances from most of the original cast, save for Harold Ramis, since Harold Ramis passed away 2 years before this film came out. Bill Murray plays a paranormal debunker who doesn't believe in ghosts. I don't know why the fuck Bill Murray agreed to this role. It was probably his biggest regret since playing Garfield, and his 2-minute cameo in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Dan Aykroyd plays a taxi driver, Ernie Hudson as Patty's uncle, Sigourney Weaver as Jillian's mentor, and Annie Potts as a hotel receptionist. And how do they incorporate Harold Ramis into this movie since he passed away in 2014, you may ask? By including a bust of Harold Ramis' head outside of Erin Gilbert's office. And like I said, this is not a proper send-off to Harold Ramis. That doesn't come until 2021 with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Before I talk spoilers here, I just want to address the elephant in the room. A third Ghostbusters movie was in various stages of development, but Bill Murray refused to commit to it. Plus, with Harold Ramis dead, Sony decided to reboot the series instead. That is, until we got Ghostbusters Afterlife, the true follow-up to Ghostbusters 2. This movie was subject to much controversy over its female leads, and the first trailer we got was just awful. Absolutely awful, that it became the most disliked YouTube video at the time, before the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer with the original look for Sonic that I refuse to post here, as it would cause viewers to vomit their brains out, and I don't want that. This movie bombed harder than Disney's entire 2023 catalog, and a sequel to this movie was ultimately scrapped, and thus, Sony decided instead to continue the original film canon with Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Oh boy, who saw this coming? What else is new? Water is wet. And get this! This is a movie I ended up skipping before we got Ghostbusters Afterlife. I only watched the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Just like how before we got Terminator Dark Fate in 2019, I only watched the first 2 Terminator films, as Dark Fate completely pretended that Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, and Terminator Genesis didn't exist. And Terminator Dark Fate turned out to be absolute garbage that had killed the franchise altogether. I did not want to watch this movie again, but I challenged myself to rewatch it anyway for this review, so here it is. And after my second viewing of this film, I can easily say that watching paint dry was way more fun than watching this again. This is one of those reboots that failed to revive a dead franchise, along with 2015's Fantastic Four, 2018's Tomb Raider, 2019's Charlie's Angels, 2014's RoboCop, 2019's Hellboy, and every fucking live-action Disney remake. This is the movie equivalent of Tyler's bullshit from The Menu, especially its utter lack of cohesion. But I brought this upon myself. I told myself that I would review the first 4 movies before Frozen Empire, including this one. So here I am. These are my thoughts on 2016's Ghostbusters. This video will contain spoilers to 2016's Ghostbusters. So if you haven't seen 2016's Ghostbusters, good! But you should still continue watching this video anyway, so the spoiler warning is completely unnecessary. But I'm still gonna talk about spoilers either way. But anyway, now that I'm done bitching and moaning about this movie, let's dive right into the most unnecessary reboot in all the realm of unnecessary reboots. This is 2016's Ghostbusters. As I mentioned in my review of the first Ghostbusters movie, the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot had a story pack in LEGO Dimensions, complete with a brand new vehicle and 6 new levels. This was only one of 3 story packs in the entire game, the others being Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and the LEGO Batman movie. But enough introductions, let's begin! Apparently, the Blu-ray release has an extended cut, But why the fuck would I ever want to watch 17 extra minutes of pointless filler that don't alter the story in any way, shape, or form, and doesn't take away the shittiness of this movie? And apparently, Sony wanted to market it as Ghostbusters Answer the Call, as shown in the end credits. But again, why the hell should I care? It's called Ghostbusters. Deal with it, shut the fuck up, and let's begin. Erin Gilbert is the author of a book called Ghosts from Our Past, and she was embarrassed to know that the book was widely published all across the interwebs. Erin and Abby are estranged, but fate brings them back together when they hear of a haunting at an old mansion that's pretty much a tourist attraction. And right from the get-go, you see that the humor in this movie is more miss than hit. Like, Melissa McCarthy never shuts the fuck up about her Chinese lunch having a single wonton, and she always bitches and complains about it. Now if that were me, I would complain too. But soup is soup. Nobody gives two fucks if your soup is missing wontons. As long as it's nice and hot, any kind of soup should be fine. Now if there was one single ramen noodle in my bowl of ramen noodle soup, then that would be a different story altogether.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
If this is gonna be a running gag with the fucking wontons, I'll throw that soup in your face, wonton or no wonton. Oh, it is? Well, fuck me in my damn mouth. Abby works at the Kenneth P. Higgins Institute of Science, and Erin goes in to confront her about the book being published without her permission. Erin stopped believing in ghosts and disavowed her work, but the book was published anyway. Abby's partner is Jillian Holtzman, and together, the two of them study paranormal activity, just like their male counterparts Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler. And did I mention that the jokes in this movie were more miss than hit? Most bad comedies are like that. I can understand that not every comedy has the genius writing of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, The Princess Bride, Airplane, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and almost every Jim Carrey or Robin Williams movie. But if your movie contains constant toilet humor, running gags that make no sense, loudness when delivering unfunny lines, and a character who is a literal dumbass who doesn't know his brain from his ass, then that's gonna guarantee you the big L. Oh, come on! Even my worst puns are funnier than this shitfest. I understand that writing comedy is harder than it sounds, but don't be lazy with it. The original Ghostbusters humor was on point, and the jokes actually land. But here, it's the exact polar fucking opposite. That's like walking into a Five Guys to order a burger and a shake, and seeing your 8th grade algebra teacher sitting across the room from you eating her own burger and drinking her own shake, while trying to grade your algebra exam that you didn't study for. That's not funny, that's awkward and embarrassing. Just like every joke from 2016 Ghostbusters! So the three ladies make their way over to a mansion that is haunted, and they investigate the paranormal activity. Now I know I said that Ghostbusters 2 felt like a carbon copy of the original, but I take it back. This is the real carbon copy of the original Ghostbusters. It's the same fucking movie with gender swap roles. But anyway, while the three ladies are at the mansion, they see the ghost of the late Gertrude Aldrich, who just projectile puke slime on them. Their encounter with the ghost rekindles Erin and Abby's friendship, and Erin's belief in ghosts. Plus they vlogged the whole thing, and it became viral on YouTube for all the wrong reasons. Because nothing says 2016 reboot than viral YouTube videos of people making complete asses of themselves. Hell, back in 2015, I made a video revolving around Eggman uploading a viral video of Sonic vomiting in front of a movie theater, and him and Sonic switching bodies. So after the video goes viral, Erin loses her bid for the tenure at Columbia University, and Abby and Holtzman lose their jobs too, because the dean at the Science Institute is just a straight up douchebag. It seems that all the male characters are either really stupid or just straight up dicks. I mean, look how they massacred Bill Murray in this movie! It's like this movie hates men for some fucking reason. And I, for one, just think it's just one big pile of bullshit. Modern Hollywood has been having that issue lately with female-led films where the male characters get shoved to the sidelines and are portrayed as incompetent imbeciles. Such is the case with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, most Phase 4 MCU projects, most Phase 5 MCU projects, Birds of Prey, and the fucking 2016 Ghostbusters. So they steal equipment from the Science Institute, and they establish their own headquarters in not a firehouse, mind you, but above a fucking Chinese restaurant. The same one where Abby won't shut the fuck up about her fucking soup orders. There, they hire Chris Hemsworth as the receptionist, and they name themselves Conductors of the Medical Fizzle... whatever the hell, instead of Ghostbusters. They don't earn the Ghostbusters name until later on. Enter Patty Tolan and the film's main antagonist, Rowan, played by Neil Casey. So in the first two films, the Ghostbusters have to deal with an ancient god named Gozer, and an evil ghost tyrant named Vigo. But here, they have to deal with a random idiot named Rowan. So Patty goes down to the subway terminal where she works, and she has an encounter with a ghost. And it appears the ghosts are summoned from special devices created by Rowan to connect the real world and the ghost world. More of this bullshit again. In the original Ghostbusters, they're just supernatural occurrences with no explanation whatsoever, because it didn't even need one. But here, there's someone using special technology. What the actual fuck is this movie? This is the Ghostbusters equivalent of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But before they set up shop at the Chinese restaurant, they find the original Ghostbusters firehouse, because they're basically putting Easter eggs left and right throughout this entire pointless reboot. Not only cameos from the original cast, but also Easter eggs referencing the first two films. And they chose the Chinese restaurant since the firehouse is way out of their budget range and they can't even afford the monthly rent. You'll get your rent when you fix this damn movie! Oh my dear Peter Parker, this movie is beyond fixing. Also, the delivery dude at the Chinese restaurant is none other than Dopinder, the taxi driver from Deadpool. We also get a cameo appearance from Casey from the Loki series. Also, how the fuck did Chris Hemsworth agree to this role? Was that a prelude to his portrayal of Thor in Thor Love and Thunder? I mean, he's a really good actor, and I heard he was great in the Extraction series of Netflix films. Now, as of this video's upload, I have not seen Extraction or Extraction 2, but I may consider reviewing those films on this channel. I just need to get around to it. But seriously, how did Chris Hemsworth agree to playing an incompetent jackass in a fucking Ghostbusters movie, let alone the reboot that doesn't exist? That's like hiring Henry Cavill as a fictional secret agent who only has 5 minutes of screen time in a movie named after his character. And yes, I saw Argyle, and that movie was just straight up stupid. But it's nowhere near as awful as Madam Web, or this movie for that matter. So apparently, Chris Hemsworth here is the gender swap version of Janine Melnitz from the original Ghostbusters. Except Janine wasn't a total dumbass, or made a bunch of unfunny jokes. I'm not saying that Chris Hemsworth is a bad actor, but this is probably his worst role in his entire career. Now, some actors and actresses have good roles and they have bad roles. Take Dennis Hopper, for example. His best role, to my knowledge, would have to be Howard Payne in Speed, and his worst role is by far King Koopa from the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's not the actor's fault here, it's the script, and the Ghostbusters 2016 script is just abysmal. Patty then goes up to Aaron, Abby, and Holtzman, telling them about her ghost encounter in the subway terminal, in which they head down there to investigate. And our first glimpse of the famous Ghostbusters logo in this movie is fucking graffiti art. I'm pretty sure Peter, Ray, and Egon didn't get their inspiration from graffiti art for their take on the Ghostbusters logo. That's like the inventor of Pringles having trouble thinking of a good logo for a new brand of potato chips. They just randomly found graffiti art of a face of a man with a Dr. Robotnik mustache. Then a light bulb goes off in the inventor's brain saying, Eureka! I found a logo for a new brand of potato chips, the Pringles! Come take a look, everybody! It's perfect! They test out a prototype for the proton packs, but they fail to capture the ghost haunting the subway terminal, and it gets splattered by an oncoming train. Is anyone making sense of this? Because I'm not! Wouldn't a ghost just go through solid walls and not get splattered by a fucking train? The developers of this movie definitely fell asleep in science class. How do you fuck up one simple fact about ghosts? Like, say, throw a book at Danny Phantom's head. Would the book go through Danny, or would he get knocked out cold by the book? Clearly the answer is option A, the book going through Danny. If you guess option B, the book knocking Danny out cold, then you would make a great screenwriter for Ghostbusters 2016! So they regroup at the Chinese restaurant, where the ghost encounter is uploaded to YouTube, and there are naysayers in the comments section. And then Patty brings over what's supposed to be the rebooted version of the Ecto-1, where it's a hearse instead of an ambulance. Ecto-1? Ha! More like Ecto-Yawn! That's what I'm gonna call it, because this is not the Ecto-1. This, right here, is the Ecto-1. Not this imposter! Back onto the unfunny jokes. Sometimes, the jokes can carry on for too long that it made me want to go, please make it stop. Move on to the next scene. I don't want to hear any more crap about the hearse having a body in it, or Melissa McCarthy's fucking soup orders. Also, they got the name Ghostbusters from the media. Are you fucking serious? I'm pretty sure Peter, Ray, and Egon sat in a circle and thought up the name Ghostbusters and thought it was a genius idea. But the 4 female protagonists hating being called Ghostbusters? Why? That's like Peter Parker fighting Bonesaw McGraw calling himself the Human Spider, and Bruce Campbell referred to him as Spider-Man. Sure, it grew on him, but this new team of Ghostbusters got their names from the press?
It's so dumb.
Oh, it's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Wanna know what else is dumb? Bill Murray's cameo in this fucking movie. Bill Murray, the guy who most famously portrayed Dr. Peter Venkman, plays a naysayer in the reboot that doesn't exist. That's like a scenario where, say, Back to the Future gets rebooted, and Christopher Lloyd plays a character who doesn't believe in time travel. It just doesn't work at all, and neither do these cameos from the original Ghostbusters cast. Just then, they get a call from a theater where a rock concert is taking place, saying that they saw a ghost. And this is because Rowan the idiot planted a device in there to summon a ghost. Also, who thought it would be a good idea for Fall Out Boy to do a cover of the Ghostbusters theme? It sounds awful. Absolutely awful. That's as bad as having Justin Bieber sing the DuckTales theme, or Carly Rae Jepsen singing the Kim Possible theme, or Nickelback doing a cover of Escape from the City from Sonic Adventure 2, or asking Pierce Brosnan to sing the national anthem at a Boston Red Sox game. The original song by Ray Parker Jr. is a staple of the 80s. Don't modernize it with a band like Fall Out Boy. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've got some pretty good songs, with Immortals from Big Hero 6 being my personal favorite. But don't put them near the iconic Ghostbusters theme. It made my ears go numb. So they make it to the theater where they encounter a ghost, and they successfully capture it. But before that, Abby finds one of Rowan the Idiot's devices. Yes, that's what I'm gonna refer to him as. Rowan the Idiot. Because let's face it, he's the most forgettable movie villain since Dar-Benn from the Marvels. So they catch the ghost and the day is saved. They are celebrated as heroes of the city. Just like how the real Ghostbusters caught Slimer at the Cedric Hotel in the 1984 Ghostbusters. And then they are visited by the naysayer played by Bill Murray. Then he gets thrown out the window when the ghost they captured at the concert is let out of the world's largest ghost trap. And after Walter Venkman, or Peter Peck, or whatever the fuck you want to call him, gets thrown out the window, the Ghostbuster imposters get arrested and are brought to the mayor and his deputy, who are also naysayers who label them as frauds. And then we see that Holtzman designed ghost-catching weapons, like grenades and pistols. I mean, why? Aren't the proton packs effective enough for busting ghosts? After this, I'm gonna have to go to a pop culture themed bar and order a cocktail called the Ecto Cooler with extra vodka and extra tequila. If there's a real alcoholic beverage called the Ecto Cooler, that would be interesting. I'd rather drive to the bar in my Sonic the Hedgehog bathrobe to order an alcoholic drink called the Ecto Cooler than endure this garbage movie any longer. The four ladies realize that Rowan the Idiot is planting his ghost summoning devices along ley lines across the map of Manhattan. And the lines connect to the Mercado Hotel, where Rowan the Idiot apparently works. So they go to the hotel, where Annie Potts is the receptionist, and they confront Rowan the Idiot in his underground laboratory. Unwilling to turn himself into the authorities, Rowan the Idiot commits suicide by electrocuting himself with his main machine. After shutting the machine down, they see that he used similar technology to theirs. And it is then that Aaron realizes that Rowan the Idiot planned his suicide so he could turn into a ghost himself. The ghost of Rowan the Idiot then tries to kill the Ghostbusters back at the Chinese restaurant, and he tries to possess Abby. So what's the most effective way to perform an exorcism in a Ghostbusters movie? With a bitch slap. Yes, you heard right, a fucking bitch slap!
Get out of my friend, Ghost! Ow, that's gonna leave a mark. The power of pain compels you! Ow!
I'd rather watch The Exorcist and A Clockwork Orange back to back than deal with that stupidity. After this, I could really go for not only an alcoholic version of the Ecto Cooler, but also a beer. And again, I'd go as far as going to the bar in my Sonic the Hedgehog bathrobe. At this point, I don't give two shits if I get kicked out of the bar for wearing a bathrobe. I just need a bunch of drinks to get through reviewing this movie. And then, the ghost possesses Chris Hemsworth, who returns to the hotel to open the portal, releasing a bunch of ghosts to run amok. You know, I still despise what they did here with Chris Hemsworth's character. Chris Hemsworth had so many other roles that he could have played in his career, like continuing on with his portrayal of Thor. Not some dumbed-down imbecile who can't tell his brain from his ass in a god-awful Ghostbusters reboot. So now, there's a whole army of ghosts terrorizing all of Manhattan, including Slimer, his Slimer girlfriend, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Except this Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is just a parade float made to look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Are you fucking serious?! Not only was the original cast done dirty in this movie, but also the fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Instead of being made of all marshmallows, he's just made into a goddamn parade float. I could really use a summer getaway at Camp Wakanda after this pandemonium, complete with a campfire, some Stay Puft marshmallows, plenty of Hershey bars and graham crackers, and not deal with some more of this 2016 Ghostbusters bullshit. See that? I made a pun about s'mores. That pun was way funnier than every joke in this fucking movie! Rowan the Idiot / Chris Hemsworth then takes control of the police who are ready to open fire upon him by making them strike poses and dance during the credits. And then, the ladies bust ghosts and kick ass using their proton weapons in the stupidest ghost busting scene ever. Oh, come on! I play Luigi's Mansion stages that are way more fun than this entire scene! Once they make it to the hotel, Rowan the idiot leaves Chris Hemsworth's body and he becomes a kaiju-sized version of the Ghostbusters logo instead of the fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And then, they turn the Ecto-Yawn, which was hijacked by Slimer, into a makeshift bomb with its reactor, and detonate a nuclear explosion into the vortex. This reverses the portal and puts the ghost back in. And then, Abby gets pulled in, but she gets rescued by Aaron. And for some reason, Aaron and Abby both end up with white hair because clearly they wanted to pull a rogue with this movie. But we see that the white hair doesn't last very long due to who fucking knows. So the day is saved, and the authorities are free from Rowan the Idiot's control. But the mayor's office still denounces the Ghostbusters imposters, while secretly funding their operations. So now, they move into the iconic firehouse. It was sure to likely get a sequel, right? Right? No, never mind then. And then, a bunch of pointless end credit sequences, including dance sequences, more fucking soup gags, and more of Chris Hemsworth being the worst version of himself since Thor Love and Thunder. And a cameo appears from Sigourney Weaver. Plus we even hear the word Zool in a scene that goes nowhere, because there is no sequel to this movie. The only real Ghostbusters sequel is Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm giving 2016 Ghostbusters a 1 out of 10. This is the lowest score I have ever given a movie as part of the McInerney76 film review series. And for good reason. This movie was awful. Every joke was awful, and the four leads have absolutely zero chemistry. Unlike the original, where Peter, Ray, Egon, and Winston all had excellent chemistry and worked well off of one another. Here, they always bicker, they're loud, and they're just downright obnoxious. Especially Melissa McCarthy and Leslie Jones. And don't get me started on Chris Hemsworth's character in this movie. They did Chris Hemsworth dirty in this movie. None of the jokes were funny, the characters were unlikable, the villain was forgettable, and the script was just downright horrendous. There was no cohesion, it was just a straight up mess, as if it was written by a kindergartner's. Now, the idea of a female team of Ghostbusters sounded good on paper, but this movie was poorly executed. I guess it's no wonder that I refer to this movie as the reboot that doesn't exist. After this movie's abysmal performance at the box office, Sony ultimately opted to continue on with the original Ghostbusters canon, with a true sequel to Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I will talk about next. But seriously, 2016 Ghostbusters was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It wasn't funny, it shat on the legacy of the original, and it was not a proper send-off to Harold Ramis. The cameos from the original cast were awful, and it makes me glad they got their roles back in Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Right from the first trailer, I knew that this movie was going to be bad, but I went in anyway, and I had to watch it again a second time for the sake of this review. I hate this movie. I do not recommend it. Stay far away from it, because Afterlife and Frozen Empire just blatantly pretend that this movie doesn't exist, and for good reason. Stay tuned for my upcoming review of Ghostbusters Afterlife coming soon. But now, I need to go to the bar in my Sonic bathrobe and get super fucking drunk after reviewing this movie. And by the time I review Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'll either be sober as a normal wolf boy or hungover beyond belief. Until then, I'll see you all next time.